another thing I'm playing is Super Robot Wars 30.
Ooh,
30.
That's already
30th
a game. There's
Oh,
no
wow.
way that's a new
Nope,
video
it's a game. It's a game. I'm not making stuff up.
Jan
I'm
is
not.
It's a
making up a video.
franchise.
Jan, there's
It's
not
a
a lot of.
franchise, dog.
No, it's made up. That's not real.
I
Space Marine battle, man. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. I
No,
can
it's,
make
it's
up
called
games
Earth
too.
Defense Force. Okay, and we don't like it. All right.
Super Robot Wars 30, which I believe is the first of the franchise to come out here out west.
If not then it's definitely one of. This is one of those franchises that like there was always someone in the GameSpot office back in the day that was like, no, these games are amazing, but none of it's in English. And so but no, it's got all the Gundams in it. And then it's got all the Mazinger Z's and all the, whatever other like anime robots that they could find a way to put in there. And, you get them on the GBA. So then they'd be like SD. So you get like your super deformed Robot Wars,
Little chibi ones.
yeah, and all that sort of stuff, and so it's just one of those franchises that has been kicking around forever, and I was shocked. It's so crazy to see the press release for this to be like, hey, Super Robot Wars 30 is out, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, that's obviously a Switch exclusive, and they're like, it's only on the PC. You're like,
Yeah.
video game, the business got weird. That's fucking crazy.
Bandai exclusively putting this out on PC is a wild move. But yeah, the game is odd. So on its face, it's a tactics game. You start the game by choosing between like the male or female protagonist, and then you choose whether or not you want to start on I think Earth, or just start up straight up in space, and that just adjusts where in the story you get dropped into. But they could not have picked more of a douchebag looking guy as the dude protagonist. And of course, it's one of those situations where it's like, oh, there's an empty mech, I'm gonna jump in and pilot it. And the default name they give you is Edge. Edge.
Yeah.
And Edge is only good as a name if you're a
The
professional
ultimate
wrestler.
opportunist.
Yes, or someone about to pilot a mech. And it's funny because there's so much flash and pizzazz, but like the in-game, not cinematics, dialogue stuff, it's all silent. There's no voice acting, not even any like vocal stuff. It's just like that. And they have these weird like end brackets at the end of each dialogue segment, which makes me think, are they just saying this in their head? No, they're talking to each other. Okay, whatever.
Right. They spent all the money on the licensing.
Yes.
Well, actually, I mean, if it's
because-
Bandai, but I guess now that it's Bandai Namco, I wonder how many of those things are just internal licenses for them.
Yeah, maybe. Because
That was always the discussion, is like, when they talked about bringing it to the US or not bringing it to the US, it was just like the cost of getting all the licenses together into one game was, restrictive.
Yeah, because they name drop some people like a Lelouch, because I believe the Code Geass robots are in this game, as well as a bunch of the Gundams. And I'm not as familiar with the franchise because maybe there's 30 of these games and I don't know. But there's a fuck ton of robots in this game, because when you start this game, it's a tactics style game. So you're dumped onto a tile set, and then you have this neat looking robot, and you're doing your thing. And then suddenly out of nowhere, an actual little child pops up in a Gundam. It's like, what's up, bro? I can help you out. And then you're teaming up with them. And then the other people you were talking to pop up on like a Star Destroyer royal looking spaceship. And then so it's now you and your rogue robot that kind of looks like it is from Code Geass, a Gundam piloted by a little child and like a space thing, and then like a whole fleet of people on a spaceship. And it's wild because, the battle segments are kind of fully animated, and you have the option to like let them play out, and there's dialogue between them where your main dude or the little kid in the Gundam will be yelling at the top of their lungs like this is their final dying breath of like, I'm gonna use this, send you to the guillotine. And then like that's the little kid saying it, and then like the random enemy soldiers going like, no, not the guillotine, and then he explodes and he's dead. Or you have the option to just skip all the cinematics completely, because when you're at the tile set with your robots, they look like little tiny little kid SD Gundam miniatures. They look super chibi, but they're being piloted by all these super serious people. And I love that they just give you the option to skip it, and they'll just animate. They won't even fully animate. They'll just hop up and down of like, oh, I missed. Boop, 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 boop. I hit you. And then there's like a absolute obscene amount of numbers popping off because each attack costs something. If you're using a firearm, it costs ammo, and then there's like action points. And then this is another game where it just dumps you into the systems, because one of the tooltips for like the first encounter was, hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just keep playing. We'll eventually explain something to you.
Wow.
Which I think is great. Like, there's the story. It's like I'm not taking it too seriously as of right now, just because it's like the early goings on. But they're just dumping characters left and right, and now there's like 2 more robots on my squad. That look vaguely familiar, that might be from an existing property, or if it's not, an OG to the Super Robot Wars crew. But I'm scared that I'm enjoying it. I'm scared.
You don't need to
So
be
you
scared.
want to be really
Embrace it.
scared. Okay, you joke about 30, about this being Super Robot Wars 30. There are close to 70 entries in this franchise
Wow.
on
Jeez.
On the Giant Bomb franchise page.
Did they
Are they
have
mostly
any,
in Japan?
Yes,
Did they have a dodgeball for Super Nintendo or Game Boy? Was that the Robot Wars I'm thinking of?
I think I don't know if that's necessarily part of this franchise, but yes, there was like a Gundam. There was some kind of Gundam dodgeball thing at some point. And that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, if you look at the trailer for this on Steam, it's just like a who's who of like, hey, I kind of know that robot. That looks like a Gundam. That looks like that other show that's not Gundam. And yeah, I would assume like the licensing for this, unless everything is owned by Bandai Namco now, would be a nightmare, and that's why it's taken a while to come out to the West.
Yeah.
But I kind of really, really like it for how odd it is.
That's awesome that someone can come to it fresh and still get something out of it. Because yeah, I mean, literally, like the first one of these games was 91, so it's the 30-year anniversary of the release of Super Robot Wars or Super Robot Taisen on the fucking Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Game Boy.
Do you know if that was
that's the
also
other
like
thing, is like a lot of these games have been handheld games.
Huh.
So
do you know if those original ones were they also tactics style games, or was it just like
I believe
RPG
it has
party?
always been this style of tactics. I want to say that and obviously I haven't seen most of the 70-ish games in the franchise, but I feel like every time I would peek over someone's shoulder holding a fucking Game Boy or GBA or whatever, it was always just some tactics and just look at it and go like, man, that's some tactics.
This is right up my alley then. Oh no, I can't play all 70.
This is where some of it came from, man. 91.
I know. I'm just as old as this game. Oh God. Well, that's Super Robot Wars 30. I'm gonna put some more time in it. Look forward to a quick look soon as I can wrap my mind around all these robots.